What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. I am so excited for today's episode because I wanted to first start off by showing you some firsts for us. Now, I always like showing you our victories because it is something that I think motivates you as well as shows that we are still growing ourselves as gardeners. And so before we get into today's episode, I wanted to show you what I saw when I came out into the garden today. So the cantaloupes are looking absolutely incredible. And I wanted to show you guys an update because a lot of you have been asking, Luke, how have the cantaloupes been going? You've never been able to grow one successfully. And that's right, I've never been able to grow one successfully. But they've been coming along very, very well. We have lots more coming, just coming on, others that are getting larger, and they're looking absolutely incredible. Got some, like I said, bigger ones there, and just gorgeous. They're all tucked in there. But coming down here, we've got our first ripe cantaloupe. Now, how I know it's ripe is this just fell right off the plant. It was attached right there, and it just popped off. Now, this might need to sit on the counter for a couple days, but the ribs are yellow. Some light green ribs like that one right there, but all in all, beautiful. Coming over here, there's this one. And this one fell off as well. And this is the biggest one. This is the one that I was worried that mice would get. And, ooh, wow, look at that mushroom. Whoa, that's super cool. Sweet. But this one just fell off as well. I didn't do anything to these. They just fell off the plant. So I imagine they're ready. Now what I wanted to show you is something absolutely incredible. This giant sunflower is taller than any sunflower I've ever grown before. As you can see, my hands are up and I'm 6'4", and I still can't even reach. With my arms outreached completely, I still can't even reach 3/4 of the way up to the top of this plant. This thing is absolutely massive, absolutely massive. I am just so excited about this, and it's just beginning to flower. And finally, this is another first for us. Now, a lot of you saw this sunflower in our last video and said that is by far the most amazing sunflower I've ever seen. And to be honest, I would have to agree. I have never in all my life grown such a beautiful sunflower. This thing is just, I mean, I'm speechless when I look at this thing. It is just absolutely incredible how full of blossoms this thing is. And now I've seen sunflowers that do get a lot of blossoms, but generally the blossoms are very small, like the size of a daisy or so. But these are full-size sunflowers. We're talking 7-8 inches in diameter, and this thing is just absolutely loaded with them. Absolutely loaded. And so a lot of you have asked me, Luke, what variety is this? I gotta get my hands on the seeds. And to be honest, I don't know. I do not know what variety this is because it actually grew from a volunteer from last year. All right, now that all of that excitement is over, I really wanted to touch on the meat of this episode and the real reason why I came out here and brought my camera out, and that was to address a question that comes up extremely often in our inbox. 3 to 5 times a day we'll get this question, and it's worded something along the lines of, Luke, I don't have really good access to compost, and so I'm forced to go to my local big box store and buy bagged potting mix or topsoil or bagged compost in an effort to kind of build my soil over time. And I'm hoping that over time my soil will get to the quality that yours is, but I don't know how long it'll take, and I'm still not seeing the results that I'm really looking for. Is there anything that I can do differently, and what would you recommend? And so I wanted to address this question because I think this is a trap that so many gardeners, myself included, have fallen into. And that's because when you go to your local big box store or hardware store, you see all this beautiful, fresh, dark soil, whether it's potting mix, compost, or topsoil in these bags. And you assume that when you put it on your beds, you're going to have the same results as you see in these beautiful bags. The problem is that when they're in these plastic bags, they're actually protected from the elements. They're protected from rain, they're protected from sun, they're protected from wind, and so they look really good in what's considered kind of a vacuum. In a vacuum, they look incredible because there's no other variables affecting them. But once you take them out of that vacuum, once you take them out of that bag and put them in your garden, that's where reality hits. And that's where a lot of gardeners kind of fall victim, is because they say, well, I put all this beautiful black soil in my garden, but now after the course of a year or 2 years, my soil is compacted, it's hard, it's degraded, there's not many nutrients, there's very little life, there's no worms, there's no good bacteria, there's no mushrooms, good fungi. It's just kind of dead soil that has a dark color. What's going on? And the secret to what's going on is there's no organic matter. And that is something that I really have cautioned a lot of people on with using bagged soils for many years now, is that, in a pinch, in an emergency, it's gonna get you by for a half a season or so. But once you get some heavy rains, once you get the sun beating down on the soil, once you get some strong winds that blow across the soil, once you have these environmental factors that take their toll on soil quality, that's really where the rubber kind of meets the road. That's kind of what separates the true good soil from the kind of good soil that looks really good in a bag. And that is the big difference that I want to encourage all of you to avoid, if at all possible. Now, I know that a lot of you don't have access because you're living in the city, or you're in an environment where you might not have access to good compost, and I understand that, and I sympathize, and I try to do my very best to give you good advice. But my advice would be, if you're in the city or you're in an urban environment that you don't have access to compost, go take a trip outside of the city. I don't know many places that don't have some type of compost facility, some type of place where there's like a municipal waste where they take like leaf matter. I don't know many places that don't have like a tree trimming company that mulches up big piles of mulch. I don't know many places that don't have a farmland where farmers will have cows and chickens and sheep or goats or horses, something like that. I just don't know many places where those don't exist. And sometimes what we have to do as gardeners is we have to think outside of 1 or 2 mile radius. To get the soil that we want in the city, sometimes it requires us to travel 5 to 10 minutes. And that's because over the years, I've really come to understand that anything you get from the store is going to be probably the worst quality stuff that you could use, because it's lacking the organic matter. It's lacking the really important things that you need to have the results that you want in your garden. And kind of what I'll end on is with stuff like, bagged compost. Bagged compost, it's been sifted. All of the good stuff, all of the really good, punky, rich stuff that kind of acts as a sponge and holds on to nutrients, holds on to water, all of that stuff is sifted out. And that leaves you with a really dark, really black soil, but there's not a whole lot of texture to it. It's all one texture. It's very fine. And that's because it's been sifted. So it compacts and degrades really quickly. It washes out of the soil very quickly because there's nothing really to hold it there in the soil. It also leaches nutrients very fast because there's not a lot of spongy, punky material to hold on to the nutrients. With things like bagged topsoil is by far the worst thing you can buy. It's the cheapest and also the worst, which thank goodness those two are on the same plane. But they're super cheap because they're super garbage quality. They literally, developers or, contractors, when they're clear cutting land, they'll just strip the top 1 inch or so of soil. They don't care what's in there. I've found glass in there. I've found screws in there. I've found, there's clay chunks, and it's just garbage. It's really not that great. And that compacts even more because there's not only no organic matter, but there's also very little compost, if any, actually in the soil. It's just topsoil. And so you're going to have a lot of weed seeds and just a bunch of garbage that I would not recommend. And then it comes to potting mix. Why don't I recommend potting mix? Well, potting mix is very expensive. It's very expensive, and unless you're growing in containers or pots, I wouldn't recommend it. There's a lot of places that I see selling like raised bed mix, and it's basically just potting mix that's glorified. It's just glorified potting mix. And the problem with raised bed mix is that raised bed mix or potting mix, it has a lot of peat moss, it has a lot of spongy, loose organic matter, but it's lacking a lot of the nutrients. And that's because it's very cheap to add a lot of peat moss, which is a filler. It's very lightweight, it's very bulky, it's just, there's a lot of air in it. And the problem is when you get a lot of that air in there, it doesn't actually provide any nutrients. There's no real compost in there. And a lot of them will add supplementally, they'll add like a granular fertilizer. That there's no comparison between granular fertilizer and compost. Compost is the starter. It's the base that you need to start with in order to have healthy soil, because you can add all you want, organic or inorganic. You can add a fertilizer to your soil, but it's not going to be what you kind of consider that good home to start a good colony of bacteria, a good colony of fungi that's overall going to help enrich your soil over time. It's not. Any worms that are in the soil are not going to come into your potting mix, because potting mix is very void of it's very void of life, and they want to come into something that they can break down and eat and digest. And a lot of that is there's not a lot of anything there for worms to digest. And so potting mix, you'll find over time, just kind of sits in your soil, and it adds good texture, but cost versus texture. Got a big cloud going overhead. So the cost that you pay for the texture that you get, again, is just not worth it. Just get a trailer, rent a trailer, ask a friend with a truck, or see if you can pay for delivery, and go find a good farm, a good compost facility, a good recycling facility. Go find that, because there's no comparison to getting compost. Whether it's composted manure, composted leaves, composted yard waste, there's just no comparison. And you can cut corners all you want, but you're going to pay in the long run for cutting those corners, and your soil quality is going to be lacking for as long as it takes you to get actually good material in your beds. It's not magically just going to get better, and you can do it year after year after year, and it's not going to get any better, and you're going to spend lots of money and time and effort kind of just putting a Band-Aid on a problem. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I really hope that you guys enjoyed all those new fun, exciting things that have happened on this channel, and it's an incredible day. So get out there in the garden, enjoy the day, and as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel reminding you to grow big or go home, and we'll catch you all later. See ya.